Okay, so fair warning before we get into it. This article, the opinion, the subject matter, literally everything about this whole thing is quite upsetting, and it'll piss people off no matter which side of the fence you're on. So I just want to be aware, if you don't feel like getting pissed off in some way, shape, or form, then you might not want to watch this. But Maria Teresa Kumar has an opinion piece out, and yeah, it is definitely an opinion piece. But let's read this, and yeah. Trump suspends immigration amid coronavirus, proving nothing can stop xenophobia. Yeah. Because it's about xenophobia. It's not about the fact that we're approaching 70 million Americans on unemployment, and we can't open up our borders and offer jobs to people outside of the United States when we've got 70 million Americans unemployed. But yes, locking down the border and ensuring that Americans might possibly have jobs without competition from every other person in the world is a bad idea? Come on, Maria. Think. What is her little... Clearly, the president will never cease his efforts to scapegoat immigrants, even during our nation's darkest hour. Clearly, you will never cease your efforts to blame everything on the president, even during our darkest hour. Clearly, you will not ever cease your efforts to make everything about your cause, even during our nation's darkest hour. See how that's easily done? America's pandemic president continues his reign of ineptitude and cruelty. Yeah. Okay, right there on your very first sentence of your article, you've got me like, okay, yeah. You are heavily biased. Yeah, okay. Okay, Maria. And this is the president and CEO of Voto Latino, Vote Latin. On Wednesday, President Donald Trump signed an executive order suspending the issuing of new green cards for people immigrating to the United States, after initially implying on Twitter that the order would broadly ban all immigration. He clarified that the order would not stop temporary work visas from being granted to foreign laborers. Yes, temporary work visas. Okay? So what? We're trying to stem the flow of people coming into the border and getting jobs when we've got 70 million Americans unemployed. 70 million. At the same time, Trump's administration has given Americans a series of mixed messages about when the country should reopen. Yeah, because this is a first in the history of all of our lives. None of us have ever been alive during anything like this. So nobody knows what to do. This is a brand new thing. We ain't never been through this before, so what do you expect? Yes, there are mixed messages. It's a new thing. Nobody knows what to do. At least some in the White House have called out public health as a reason for the new immigration policy. Yeah, there's that too. The world is sick, okay? You're cozy in your home. And would you open your door and let everybody in? With the world being sick, just open your door and walk away. Go upstairs, leave your door wide open, go to bed, fall asleep. Whoever comes in, well, that's who comes in. Is that what you would want to do? No, of course not. National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien, for example, told Fox News that we're trying to do everything, the president's trying to do everything he can do to put the health of the American people first during this crisis, adding that the executive order was one step. And yes, it is. Look, if you are not willing to open your door to your home, advertise the address to your home worldwide, and put in a comment that says everyone is welcome, there are no checks, no questions asked, just come on in and you can live here for as long as you like. If you're not willing to do that, then I don't want to hear you talking about opening the borders. So, Miss, what was your name again? Kumar, Maria Teresa Kumar, would you open your doors, advertise your address for the entire world to see, and let anybody come in without any checks? If you're not willing to do that, then I don't want to hear you talk about open borders. Because if it's not something that affects you directly, and you're saying we should do this, but, yeah, well, it doesn't affect me, I'm never going to see it, but you should do it, then I don't want to hear it. So open your doors, advertise your address, or shut up. In reality, this latest executive order should be tossed on the garbage heap with all of Trump's other travel bans. Yeah, okay, what about the China travel ban? Are you saying he shouldn't have put in a China travel ban? Maybe we should have just sent planes over to China and told us, hey, which are your most infected people in the world? Which ones are the most heavily infected people you got? We'll put them on a plane, we'll fly them over the United States, and we'll just let them parachute in from random spots. Won't get their names, won't get where they parachuted in. It'll just be a great surprise. It'll be like a birthday surprise for America. Ha ha, Corona! Come on, man, lady, Jesus. Either the virus is not serious enough to continue mass nationwide social distancing, or it is so serious that there is an immediate need to stop people from entering the country. It cannot be both. It can be both, because this is new shit here, lady. You want everything your way, and anything that doesn't go your way, you're calling it out as xenophobia. That's not the way the world works, lady. Despite the specter of the coronavirus, this is just another attempt to stop black, brown, and Muslim immigrants from entering the country, all while feeding his xenophobic base. No, you are feeding the xenophobic base. You are! Because you see it everywhere. You're like Anita Sarkeesian. There's sexism everywhere. There's racism everywhere. And it's so exhausting because you have to point it all out. No, you don't have to point it all out because it is not everywhere. Sometimes a goose is just a goose. It's not an armed robber dressed as a goose. I'm sorry. Sometimes you're wrong. Trump's softening of the ban stance on temporary workers is further proof that the president does not actually believe his own statements about immigration and jobs. No, it is further proof that this is a really baffling thing that a lot of people have a lot of opinions on, and we're basically throwing the spaghetti against the wall and seeing what sticks. That's what this means. God, lady, you're like race baiting and trying to stir up shit at a time when we don't need shit stirred up. It is more evidence that he views immigrants as disposable, cheap labor. What? Okay, he's blocking the country. If he wanted disposable, cheap labor, he would open up the borders. He's blocking the borders. I didn't mean he was blocking the country. He's blocking the borders and ending it except for temporary work visas. And temporary work visas are not cheap labor. When you get a temporary work visa, it's usually because a company has sponsored you, which means usually you're in a little bit of a higher paying echelon of labor. God, you're dumb, lady. But not as people who could or should become part of our nation. Some of them shouldn't become part of our nation, lady. Some of them shouldn't. You're saying that we should just let everybody in? This action is not only an attempt to divert attention away from Trump's failure to stop the spread of the coronavirus. Yeah, okay, how is Trump supposed to stop the spread of the coronavirus? First, when he locked down and he banned travel from China, people like you were lambasting him for it. Now you're saying that it wasn't enough. Make up your damn minds at least. Be consistent at least. And what do you expect him to do? He stopped China. He put in the China travel ban when people were telling him he shouldn't have. You remember when people were going out and hugging Chinese people? And they had Chinese people lining up, and it said hug an Asian in defiance of Trump's travel ban? And now they're saying he didn't do enough? What? What freaking Twilight Zone bullshit have I stepped into? Okay. This action is not only an attempt to divert attention away from Trump's failure to stop the spread of the coronavirus and save lives, but an authoritarian-like move to take advantage of a crisis and advance his anti-immigrant agenda. Noted Republican Joaquin Castro, Democrat, Texas chairman of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. But you're biased. You're seeing it from only one perspective, and you refuse to see it from any other perspective. It is something that you are going to use to try to advance your cause. And I got you. I know everybody wants to advance their cause. I got you. I want to advance my channel. I got you. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to clasp onto something that I know is obviously bullshit and spew it out as bullshit. The distinction lies in the path of opportunity for temporary workers and green card holders. A person with a green card can sponsor family members for their own green cards, work in a field and occupation of their choosing, leave and re-enter the United States much more easily, contribute to political campaigns, and of course apply for citizenship after 5 years. In other words, a green card provides a real opportunity to become a productive part of this country. Yes, my mother was a green card holder. She maintained dual citizenship, Canada and the United States. Interestingly enough, and I enjoy saying it, she went to Canada. She kept the dual citizenship so that way she could go to Canada for the, little dull medical procedures and get it done for free. But when it came to medical procedures that meant something, that her life depended on, that needed to be done and needed to be done right, guess what? She did them here in the States. She didn't go to Canada. And there's a reason for that. A very good reason for that. Unless you have experienced, like I have, the bullshit of medicine for all, Medicaid for all, universal health care, whatever it is. Unless you've experienced it, you can't say that it's a good thing. Because when you see it, you'll be like, wow, man, yeah, it is free, but what a bunch of bullshit. What a bunch of bullshit. Anyways, temporary worker visas, on the other hand, only allow people to come into the country to work in a specific occupation for a fixed amount of time without the ability to exit and re-enter the country or take part in civic life. And the problem is, I don't see a problem. I don't see a problem. We've got 70 million Americans on unemployment. How about we look after 70 million Americans first? That's a novel idea. That's a novel idea. Let's look after the 70 million Americans first. And then once we get that straight, then we can go back to the immigrants because they're not citizens. And perhaps maybe we should look after American citizens in America first. Wouldn't that make sense? Am I off my rocker to think that maybe America should take care of American citizens, especially during a time like this? We've got approaching 70 million, hell, for all I know, it's over 70 million now, on unemployment. But yeah, let's bring in outside people to take the jobs. Let's flood America. You know what? Here's what we'll do. All Americans just line up in a great big line, and we'll march our asses to Mexico. For every one American that leaves America, we'll bring in one Mexican into America, and then Mexico will become America, and America will become Mexico. And then give it a few years, and we'll reverse it, and we'll immigrate to Mexico. And stupidity. The only thing that she's seeing is her side of the story, and she refuses to see any other side, and it's something that she's using to advance her views, not looking at it like, okay, look, our backyard is full of trash. So why is it that we're going to go clean our neighbor's backyard and spend the resources and things over that? How about working ourselves for a change? But there's more at stake than green cards. Yes, our sanity. Trump's executive order is merely the latest example of how this administration is ignoring the needs of Latinx. Yes, there it is. Latinx. You can't have Latino or Latina. Latinx. Until Latinx becomes offensive. And then what? We'll just shorten it. Lat. I don't know where we're going to go with this. All I know is our lexicon is so full of such bullshit. Latinx. Okay. How is Latino or Latina a bad word? And immigrants at the time when the community's collective health and wealth has perhaps never been more at risk. Yes. The health and wealth of all Americans, not just Latins. But you're only focused on Latins. Latinos and Latinas. Those are the only people you're focused on. You're not looking at America. Okay? But we're suffering. There's 70 million Americans out of work. What do you want us to do? Open up the borders and give the jobs to other people? Come on now! Undocumented immigrants pay well over $27 billion in state and federal taxes, but they are not eligible for coronavirus aid, Relief and Economic Security Act stimulus money. No, and they shouldn't be. They're not United States citizens. They are undocumented. They are here illegally. I don't care if they pay $27 billion in state and federal taxes, which, incidentally, if they're documented if they're undocumented, they're not paying federal taxes. They're undocumented. And if they are paying federal taxes, it's because they've stolen someone else's documentation. How do you pay taxes? Based upon your social security number or your ITIN number. So if you're paying federal taxes, it's because you've got someone else's documents. Because you don't pay taxes if you don't have documents. 49% of all Latinx households have either lost jobs or have had to pay or have had to pay a pay cut. Take a pay cut. Same with most Americans. Yet about a fifth of Latinx workers are excluded from the CARES Act due to their immigration status. Yes, because they're not American citizens. Should we give money to everybody that's undocumented? That would mean the entire world. If we make a law, think about it. If we make a law that says everybody that's undocumented gets a bit of this money, everybody in the entire world outside of the United States is undocumented. So we would be opening up the door to pay every individual in the world money. Because everybody's undocumented except for United States citizens. So then you're going to have caveats. Okay, only undocumented immigrants in the United States. Only illegals that are in the United States. Oh, but then people like this are going to call out, well, how are you going to discriminate against illegals that haven't been able to make it to the United States yet? And they're going to call for, I mean, seriously, this is where we're headed with thoughts like this. Similarly, the 16.7 million people lived in a mixed status households, half of whom are U.S. born or naturalized, received exactly zero relief money from CARES Act. In California, I haven't received any money from the CARES Act. I've gotten jack dick squat. I'm white. I'm wiring goddamn sour cream, and I ain't got dick squat. So what are you talking about? Take your biases and stick them somewhere where the sun don't shine, because I'm done with it. I can't. I can't. I love you guys. Open your minds, expand, and look past the horizons that you see. There's more in the world than here, and there's more in the world than just your little group. We're a nation of 300 million people. We've got to look after our nation. We can't look after the world. We can't do it. We cannot do it. We can't do it financially. We can't do it physically, and we can't do it emotionally. We can't do it. Give every undocumented immigrant access to the CARES Act. Okay, let's go even further broke. They chose, it's their choice, it's all about choice. They chose to break the law and be here illegally. They are not United States citizens, so why should they get the money? If they want the money, come in legally, come in the proper channels. Most of our ancestors came in the proper channels, so you want to slap our ancestors who sat in line and waited and did the proper tests and things like that to slap them in the face and say, well, you know, your ancestors, they did the right thing, but screw them. My ancestors are just going to come in illegally and take part in the great country, and then at the same time call it a horrible country and make fun of everybody in it. Okay. Yeah. All right. I love you guys. I know I'm going to piss people off with this video, and that's fine. That's fine. Let me know what you think of it. If you hated it and I pissed you off, let me know. It's all good. Your voice matters here. Everybody's voice matters here. I'm just giving my opinion. But I love you guys. See you on the next one.